Marcelo, did you see any comments? Are there any questions? I see a lot of compliments for you, Nicola, but I'm not seeing any specific questions. But there's a lot.
Well, there was really a lot of compliments, and this last question, this last answer from you was extremely important for our Brazilian audience, because it's very hard for a Brazilian to understand that. The country of Brazil was formed by miscigenation, so basically mixing people. And so basically, if you go to Brazil, nobody cares who you are. Nobody knows if you're from somewhere different. And it's extremely interesting to see how all the ethnicities and all the religions go along together at the same place. And there is not even a sparkle of tension, nothing. It's, I mean, of course, you're gonna have, crazy you have everywhere, but it's not something that is breaking a society apart. I have a series of programs that I'm trying to build on the channel, trying to go through that a little bit, even to explain to the Brazilians and to think about solutions for Europe, because I live here, so I don't want it to break apart as well. So there was a very interesting question in the beginning that I lost. I think
that's what I'm trying to scroll through, and like I said, lots of compliments to you and just commentary, but I'm not seeing questions. I'm just seeing.
This one, I think the answer it's quite clear, but I'm gonna ask anyway, just for fun. The question was if NATO used nukes on Yugoslavia.
So they didn't use nukes, but they used
uranium.
Exactly, impoverished uranium,
right.
And tons of that, which goes deep into the soil. And there are a lot of, I'm not an expert on that subject, but there are experts who say that depleted uranium has direct consequences on cancer. And it just happens to be that Serbia has one of the countries with the highest rate of cancers. So is it linked to that? I don't know, but we do have prominent doctors in Serbia who have made that link. And in any case, I mean, why would the US or NATO use depleted uranium, even if there's a doubt that can be leading to cancer? Because of course, it's the civilian population who's suffering. And in this case, in Kosovo, it's Albanians, Serbians, Gorani, all the people together. They're all suffering from this depleted uranium. And it's, and it was a dirty war. Most of the killed people in what was left of Yugoslavia in 1999 were civilians. And nobody was talking about, the atrocities of NATO, killing people, firing on a maternity. They even killed Albanian refugees. So they were supposed to defend the Albanians, and they killed, dozens of Albanian refugees. It was collateral damage. The West doesn't kill anybody. They don't kill civilians. We do collateral damages. So and that was quite crazy. And NATO used those weapons, and they got out of it. This was easy. These were people in planes or in boats with their joysticks, testing out all their GPS material. This was also a great way for NATO and NATO countries to show their material so that they could sell it to the rest of the world. Look at where we bit the hell out of Serbs.
And we like HIMARS and javelins.
Exactly. So they were just showing this off and killing people, making a lot of people suffer. And this was terrible. This was despicable. How can you, at the same time, you could do that and say that you're fighting for democracy, for peace? When you think about it, it's just total nonsense. And it's actually quite shameful. And I have met, actually, to tell you the truth, a lot of French soldiers who usually after they've left the French army would come to my conferences and they'd say sorry. Listen, don't say sorry to me. What you did was to the people who lived there, who suffered practically a decade of NATO. There was 1999. The bombing was in 1999, but the interference of NATO was all during the 90s. And even today, there's still a lot of NATO people trying to coerce the Serbs to enter NATO and stuff. So say to those people, if you can do something, help our organization or go help the people over there. Because but they said when we went there, we were told exactly what I was talking about, what we were talking about a couple of minutes ago: bad Serbs, eating kids, genocide. They were manipulated, and they felt so bad. And I think really a lot of them were honest when they were saying this, that they felt disgusted that they were used to achieve these Machiavellian plans of for 5-star, I don't know how many star generals who were just getting a kick out of using these tomahawks and these F-16s and just beating the hell out of civilians crossing a bridge or something. And they were really disgusted. And I have met actually some generals and colonels who said the same thing. So maybe we can have this positive point that some people are opening their eyes, and this is actually quite important. I think today there are a lot of things which are easier to say than it was in the 90s. I felt I was alone in the desert and nobody could understand.
If only more of them were saying this publicly and connecting it to the current conflict in Ukraine, that would make a little bit of a difference. But I digress. I'm a little bit of an optimist sometimes. But I think we've been going for a long time. This has been an amazing conversation. So please, Nicola, let our viewer. Do you want to ask something?
Yeah. Do you have time for one last question?
I've got all my time.
And I find one very
I'm
interesting.
enjoying it a lot. Yeah.
Well, great, thank you. So this is extremely interesting question, and by the way, Nina's pet arrived.
I think this is a sign of the stream has been going on for more than an hour and a half. This is like clockwork, yeah.
So this is probably going to be a quick one. So the question is from Hydra Alternative, and it's just hailing Hydra all the way here. So can you feel the atmosphere? It's just like early 20th century. The fear, the anger, the hatred. Nothing will stop the return of the Sith. Of course, it's a reference to Star Wars. But I think it's interesting. I'm doing a series of videos here in the channel. I started with Nebojsa Malic. I'm also had talks with Dragana Trivkovic, which we basically discuss more or less the same thing we discussed here today with you. So either the both of you know each other and have exchanged messages, or we're on the right path. And this is the series is named Prelude to World War, and this is exactly what I've been feeling, the same atmosphere as historically we learn. So how do you think about this? What do you think about this question?
Listen, unfortunately, I'm an optimistic, okay? So I always see, I remember that in the 14th century, France had Black Plague, there was no more papacy, and France was invaded, controlled by the English. And so there was the end of France, and France got out of it. And the 18th century was the French Revolution was quite terrible as well, and French got out of it. So I always keep on saying, okay, there's the solution. And even the Serbs, 5 centuries of Ottoman occupation, and they got out of it. But today, honestly, we have all the ingredients that we have seen in the past to war, and all this hatred, all this the fact that this atomization of the society, and especially one thing which is important, and then I think that, and thank you for this question, is that we are totally indebted. We live on money that we don't have and that we can't reimburse. In France, the indebtment is over, I think it's 112 or 115% of our GDP. We'd have to work 1 year, all the French, for free, just to pay the banks. And in the coming years, the biggest budget we'll have to be paying is the interest. So at one moment or another, the bankers or the oligarchs or all these people are saying, okay, listen, nobody's going to pay us back. This society, we've played a lot with it. We've manipulated, we've controlled the media, we've done nothing. This is getting out of hand. And if people start finding out who's been playing around with us since the beginning, they're going to get mad. And they're going to get mad at us. So maybe we should find some sort of way that they fight between themselves so that we can get away with it. And we'll come back when these guys will be just torn to pieces and so tired that they can't even raise a slingshot or something like that. So that's my scare today. I'm afraid of that. The only thing which I say, and honestly, we're going into that direction. I mean, the hatred, the violence, the sentiment. I mean, we even look at the video games that they're giving our children. They're killing each other on a daily basis. You know, this is theft, grand theft auto, or whatever, I don't know, whatever, or there's a lot of violence in the movies, there's a lot of violence, and in the streets there's a lot of violence, and we do have wars, and there's a lot of weapons on the street, by the way. And France, this is becoming something which is becoming more and more common. So how do we avoid war, knowing that there's one thing that will change compared to the beginning of the 20th century, is that there are nuclear weapons. So do we fight between each others in the Western world, and the rest of the world just looks at us fight? So will this be infighting between conservatives and leftists? Will it be the indigenous people against Muslims? I don't know what kind of fight. Some people would like us to fight a clash of civilization, I don't know, so that we can just destroy ourselves, because the economical system is heading towards collapse. And everything's going to be holding together as long as we have bread and we can feed ourselves. But once it becomes complicated, we'll go out fighting. And believe me, I've seen it in Yugoslavia. In a fraction of a second, you have to choose who you're going to be fighting with, and there's no room for people saying, I've got a white flag, I'm not participating. So this is scary. I don't know. It's just going to be a world confrontation, because Russia has nuclear weapons. U.S. has nuclear weapons, and if France has nuclear weapons. So if one of these countries starts getting attacked or starts a war, chances are that they may, destroy the whole planet. But even if the whole planet is destroyed, that means even the oligarchs will fall. So maybe that's not a good plan for them, unless they've got some special spaceship and they've already got another home on Mars or something like that. It is.
Elon's rockets are not working very well, so
yeah, maybe they'll wait a bit till they master that rocket technology before going on to another planet and leaving us to destroy ourselves. But the situation is scary. It is really scary. So I really encourage everybody to get involved, because I do think that at the end, the good people win. It's not always easy, but if we don't say anything, and if we don't fight, whether it's locally in our communities, in political parties, whatever, if we don't advocate for peace, if we don't try to find a way to get out of this, then we will be brought into a war that we don't want, and we won't have a choice but to fight, because then it's you or me, and it's them or us, or however you want to see it. So and I've seen it in Yugoslavia, I've seen it in the Donbass. I was there last May. It's terrible. Whatever side you're on, it's terrible. So yeah, we have to be, I say, clear. Have to have a clear vision on what the situation is today, but we have to do everything we can to make a change and remain optimistic, even if we are in a dire situation, because few optimistic and I would say dynamic women and men make a change. It's always the dynamic, I don't remember the term exactly, the dynamic minority, but they're the ones who change the world. It's not the masses. We're working for the masses, and we want, but we have to be that dynamic minority who leads the masses and who encourages the masses to raise up and stop this and change the society. Because if we don't do it, believe me, those who are in power, they're less numerous than we are, but they won't let go of that power so easily. So they
have bunkers.
They have their own bunkers. You're right, Nina. They have.
Yeah, but the Russians have Kinshasa.
Yeah.
But you and I don't have bunkers, so it doesn't really matter.
No, I don't either.
So, Nicola, this was quite an amazing conversation. I would like you to tell our viewers where they can find you, where they can find your work, follow your work on social media. I did link you, but I would like you to do the same. Perhaps I missed something.
Thank you so much, Nina and Marcel. This was really a fantastic moment. And I think this is also, for me, a sign of optimism, and it encourages me to fight. We're living in 3 different countries. We understand how the Western society is today. And I do think we agree on most of the most important elements. And it's just feels so good to be talking to people who are aligned, and that this makes the combat worthwhile, and say, okay, we're not alone. We're much more than we think. So, and I'd like to thank also the viewers who've taken their time and who, rather than watching some stupid talk show or whatever on TV, they're interested in their own future and taking their own future in hands. And so I'd like to congratulate them, because without you guys, we wouldn't be anywhere, and we're all in this together to make our lives better. And so this is important. If you want to follow what I'm doing, you can find me on Twitter. So my Twitter, can just tap Nikola Mirkovic. So normally you should see my name, Nikola Mirkovic, Mirkovic on Twitter. I've just got the number 1 before, because we're several Nikola Mirkovics, and it's the same thing on Facebook. Nikola Mirkovic, you can follow me on those. I'm also on VContact, and if those of you who speak French, Spanish, or Italian are interested in my books, or if you're an editor and you can translate my books into other languages, you could find my books easily on Amazon or on the internet. So and please don't hesitate to contact me. Oh, just one last thing. With our association, West-Est, whose goal is to bring Western and Eastern Europe together and not divided. It's www. So this is in French, sorry, but West, OUEST, -sign, est.org. Again, go on any search engine and you'll find West-Est, and you can have information on what we're doing in between the West and Eastern Europe, not only in Donbass, but also in other countries. So there you go. And thanks a lot, Nina and Marcelo. This is really a very enjoyable moment. Thanks a lot.
We'll just have to invite you back, because you've like I said, I still have 98 of the 100 questions I've had in my mind. So
it will be my
we'll definitely have you back.